Just okay. So I'm going to share this again because I'm going to share with you today about now when you are, we're going to look at some videos on trimming, and then I'm going to show you the state my horse's foot is in right now. Through this whole process, he's never gotten sore, but see, now I've been restoring his heels for a long time. So he had a fairly good fit in capsule and stuff. But anyway, so as the bulbs are uncurling and this whole frog's moving back like this, because the heels are curled inward like this, so that everything's coming out like so. And so since this was pulled up into here, well, then the heel buttress that looked like heel buttress, and it was buttress, but it was just forward, is and the bar there was laying over this part of the foot. And this part of the foot gets shoved up into the foot, so that this part, the bulb back here, is actually lower than this part. And so it's really interesting that my heels, as they've uncurled and this is opened up here, I found there's very little to any sole there at all. And it hasn't really grown there for a long time because all this is like grass. If it gets covered over, like if your bars grow up here, here's your bar lamina, your bar grows from right here. Okay, if the bar grows higher than higher than however thick your sole is here, then it's going to grow up, lay over, and then the sole underneath will not grow. Okay, because it's just like grass. And so when the heel buttress back here, all this gets pulled in like that, and you got kind of a false heel and it's laid over this area here. Well, there's no sole growing there, but you can have, like, let me see, let me get it, annotate here. Draw. Okay, so but what you'll have is you can have some bar here. Okay, this will be curled in, but it gets covered over here. It gets covered over by some wall, so that this part is not growing any sole. You actually have, well, you know, everything on these feet has a counterfeit, you know, and so I had to counterfeit heels, what's called false heels, but it wasn't just sidewall and bar together. There was actual heel buttress there, but it was curled in here. This whole thing curled in here and those shoved up into the foot. And so I had 2 years ago full sole in here and really thick, nice walls, and the sole looked great, and the frog didn't look that bad. It wasn't thrushy or anything like that, but it was all false. It wasn't real. And the way that I knew was when you look at the foot on the ground from the side and you look at the cartilages. See, for us to have a perfectly restored foot, the cartilages above the hairline have to have a specific formation. And so I'm going to show you some pictures of that. So as this heel uncurled here, it opened this area up. And so the last 2 touch-up trims I did, as the heel was uncurling and the bar, I'm trimming the bar over different now. So that was opening this up and allowing that heel to uncurl back here. As this was happening, well, then when I got in here, the sole was so thin. And I've seen that before on a back foot. I had a bar back before I really trimmed the frog to follow the actual shape of the frog. Okay, what I call you trim the frog to its distortion, or you trim the bar to its distortion, because what happens is you got kind of a foot where the heel is pushed forward and the wall is out here, and the bar is pushed the foot out like this, and so it's also pulled this frog corium out this way, and so your frog is growing and it's just slowly filling this up and it's growing over more this way, and you're trimming according to the distortion and growth of the frog and the distorted bar that's laid over here, rather than starting to make a new boundary for these things. It's all about making new boundaries so that stuff will move back into place. And so what I discovered was, one day I was trimming that back foot and I'm kind of looking at how wide this was getting here, because this one over here was still, the frog was growing pretty much like that, but this was getting clear over here. And I thought, and I kept trimming the bar here, along the edge. And I thought, well, I think I'm going to take off some of this frog right here. And when I took it off, when I took this piece off right here, just a minute. When I took that piece off right here, okay, I had this bar that was growing here. That bar was actually almost laid flat and it was totally broken off right here. And I wouldn't have seen that if I would not have trimmed this frog over. And that's why I said, and this was like maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, can't remember. And so, and of course the bar also is laying over on this sole right here, and this kind of pushed out. So then I had to decide, well, gee, what do I do? The whole bar is broken right here. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to take the whole thing off. So I just took the whole thing off there. And when I took it off right here and it came off of the sole, let's see, when it came, see right here, just a minute. Let's make this bigger so you can see it. Okay. So when I remove this bar that was laying over this part of the sole, and of course this is cartilage, all this is cartilage, so it's pushed out. This was, it was like paper. It was like thin paper. There was a thin paperish layer of sole here, and you could press it and you could feel the softness of the corium, because when you get these feet like this foot here, I soaked it for a long time so all the blood is out of it. Okay. When you first take the capsule off, it looks bloody, but then when you soak it, it turns this color. And when it's got just that thin layer of sole, just barely, this is the color it is. This is the color the foot is on the inside. You don't see, like you would think if you looked through a very thin layer, it would be blood red, because if you slightly cut that sole, that's even a very thin layer, you'll get some blood. But if you don't cut that sole and it's just paper thin and you can see through it, this is the color of the foot. Isn't that interesting? Like, how does it do that? And so in that back foot, there were these areas here that have been covered up by bar for a very long time. And it was just paper thin. Now the bar is over. I'm keeping the frogs trimmed You know, I mean, look, here's your collateral groove. There's some space here. Don't you think there ought to be some space on the frog when the capsule's on? I mean, it should mirror this to a degree. See? And so, you know, you want to keep this you don't want it to get jam packed full of frog and laying over and stuff like that. You also don't want this to get full of lumps and bumps and chunks and stuff like that, because does the foot have that? No, look how seamless everything is. Here's your frog corium and your apex right here. See, that's why I say it's round. Okay. But look how seamless it goes, seamless to sole. It goes seamless to collateral groove. It goes seamless to where the bar, because you know you got to have space here, and yet it's seamless. I mean, like, where's even the bar corium there that actually grows the bar? It isn't this wide. It's not this wide. Okay, because there's a space between the bar that grows the bar up. Here's the lamina. Bar grows and attaches to the lamina and the heel right here. Then your heel buttress would be right here. Well, there's a space here. You know, there's frog that grows and there's bar that grows, but there's still, you know, space. I mean, but look how seamless everything is. You know, so you should, even though you see different parts and it's more defined on the capsule, okay, it should have some order to it. I mean, has anybody else been looking at some of these feet that these people say, yeah, well, my trimmer was just here and trimmed my horse, and you look at it and you're just like, what'd they even do? You know, they look like crap. You know, they got all kinds of built up sole and dead frog. And I mean, you know, they're not doing anything. You come in there and you'll see them sometimes. Oh, maybe they rockered the heel here, you know, which they call ramping, making a like a boat ramp right here. You know, here's the lake and they got a little ramp here, so that when that horse lands on its heels, he rolls back on his frog lips. That's what these are. I call these now the frog lips right here. And I got a little meme I did on that with a little froggy with red lips. But anyway, so now here too, what we're trying to do here, people that have been doing TACT for quite a while, and I've talked to others here recently that had the same problem I had, which is in the wet season, the foot's doing great, it's expanding, the cartilages are expanding, you know, and then as soon as it dries out, it shrinks up again. And I'm like, what is going on? Well, you know, now we know that when these heels get pulled under, this periople that's only supposed to be back here, it is not supposed to be under here at all. Okay, this periople goes to work when the heels are being trimmed out to grow in here and cover this whole thing up to try and hold the capsule on the foot. See, that's what it's doing. It gets thick, it gets hard, it can get hard as hoof wall, and it can be soft, it can look like frog, but you know it's not frog because it turns white, where the frog doesn't change color in that same way. Okay, so all right, so we're gonna go just look at what's going on with my horse's foot right now so you can see it. So just, you know, keep your eyeballs on that. See, here's the thing. Well, let's look at this a little bit more. And every time we have these meetings, I want to come back to this is your horse's foot. See, This is your horse's foot. Now, look here. See, sulcorium is right up here. Let's look at this just a minute. Annotate. Sulcorium is lips up over the edge like this. Comes down around like there. See? Clear up over the edge. There. And then over here is where it gets concave. Concave. Over here, the foot is convex. The sulcorium shape is convex here, goes right there to be concave. And so here's where your sole ridge grows convex, concave. See there? So you have to learn to be able to read that. So just remembering some of this stuff, that this is your foot, not that capsule. And so the more you know this foot, the more you know how this foot is supposed to be, including like, okay, here's the top of the coronary band right here. Well, above there, okay, this is part of the foot, but above there, it's also part of the foot. The more you know and understand this, okay, the more you're going to be able to look at your trims and determine if you're trimming right, or if you're balanced, or what distortions you have, or what you need to correct and stuff like that once you learn the trimming principles. So see, here we go. See those heels, how those heels have definition? Okay, so you get that bar growing clear up here, or you get this curled around in there, laying up over this sole. See, and I want you to notice too the shape of the foot. You know, now, to me, I think that if I look at the foot with the capsule on, that I should, like, okay, the bar grows to here, it joins with the sole, and then it can grow 3/4 to an inch further, so that you have 3/4 to an inch of sole on the bottom of your foot. And so so I want, that's why you have to have that heel buttress. Well, here would be the hairline. This is about 1 1/8 inches right here. Okay, 1 inch to 1 1/8 inches from the hairline to right there. And then you want another what? 3/4 inch to 1 inch going past there, because it joins up with the sole right here. This would be the very, well, there's your sole right in there, that sole platform, that triangular sole platform. And then here's your triangular heel buttress. It's going to be back here. Here's your bar right here. Now I want you to look at your wall would be growing up over here and joining with the sole, because remember, the sole lips up over the side here. So you got that convex ridge that's growing. And then again, where's it go concave? Right here, which I call the bowl of the sole, the convex part. I like to call that the bowl, you know, the bowl of the sole. And so you can see that your heels have definition, that everything has a place, that this bar wall that grows up here, look at the shape of the bar wall. You know, it's not clear up here. Well, I mean, you know, it is going to be clear up here. You got to use your imagination here, because the wall and buttress going to grow up about 1 inch more, and the sole grown up 1 inch more. Okay, but it should mimic the shape of what we see here. See? Because the sole, once it's grown up here, even if it's 1 inch thick, it should mimic and follow this form. See, you're always hearing people talk about, well, that the bars need to be, I guess, high because they need to bear weight, or they need to support the foot. And so, you know, you might have bar that's high and then it's just flat sole in there. But I want you to look again at the shape of the foot. See, that's the shape you should see in the sole and the bar. The bar should not be level with the wall up here. Do you understand what I'm saying? People think that the bar has to be level if you have wall up here. They think that this bar right here has to grow up and be level with that. Is it on the foot? It's not level on the foot. And see, it's remarkable engineering that we got here. Okay, these bars are not meant to bear a lot of weight. They're meant, first of all, the bar is part of the buttress here. You got the heel buttress back here, and then you got the bar that anchors itself against the back of the coffin bone right there. Okay, and so you have this chunk of wall here. Okay, it's supporting the sole right there that's growing with it, but it's also supporting that buttress right here that has this bar here that's connected to the back of the coffin bone, because the coffin bone's solid, right? So when that heel's being pushed from this, it's got this support brace, right? It's got a support brace right here. And so when you're looking at the heels, we'll look at, and in fact, we're going to look at some heels shaped fairly correctly and stuff. When you have the capsule on and you have the heel buttress back here and you've got wall growing over here and you've got sole, okay, that sole and that bar and that wall should mimic this shape, see, and stuff. Your bar wall should not be high up here, like high with the wall. Because look here, let me draw it out. Just see. Oh, let's just do red. Okay, so here's the bar wall. Okay, and it actually, the lamina part ends right about here. Okay, now back here, here's the back of your heel. Your heel buttress is back here. See, and your wall is growing on the other side of here. It connects with the sole, not right there. It actually connects because remember, this sole lips up over the edge there. See? Okay, so this all grows up connected with sole in here. So look at how your sole is shaped down to your bar. See how it tapers down like this? Now you think about it. Let's see, clear all drawings. Let's back it up. You think about it. Well, isn't that designed so that it pushes and keeps your heels pushed out? Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, feedback.
Yes.
Okay. I need feedback, so I know I'm not just talking to myself sometimes.
No, I understand, Linda.
Okay.
It's actually acting as almost like a wedge to keep it out.
Yeah. Yeah. See? And I just think that's pretty amazing. Just the shape, you know. So yeah, your bars are lower here. I've had people ask me that, you know, a number of times. Should the bars be lower than the sole? Well, the sole is lower than the sole. The sole is higher here, and then it tapers down this way. See? So there's this taper kind of going on here. Okay.
So the way that I see it is when you explain to me that the frog acts like an ABT brake on the horse, this bar acts like a container for the frog to expand and
Yeah.
contract. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like the heels would push out, and they do, because when this, like your digital cushion is under here. And so then you're going to have a big 2 inches of frog here from here, and then another inch. This is an inch right here, and then another inch, your frog right here. Okay, supporting the foot. And then, so then your digital cushion is above the frog, and the frog is part of the capsule, but the digital cushion is part of the foot, but yet they work together, and so this pastern here descends down onto this digital cushion, which dissipates the weight. I was just reading something about that. The difference between what like a hard kind of rubber would do and what fat would do. Fat distributes and dissipates the weight, and when it descends down, well, this is loaded under pressure. you know you're pushing down on it, but it's pushing back on you. Okay, so you got those tendons pulling back as this pastern descends down onto this fat cushion here, which then descends right into this frog. And what you see is the whole thing, the heels open up slightly, and the whole thing bends down and hits the ground. So see, you don't need to trim those heels down so that you've got frog contact, because the foot is designed to open up like this, pastern descend down. All this with this big, huge frog opens up here and descends down to the ground. But the thing about it is, you got this big, supple, flexible frog. And even though everything is pushing down on it, guess what it's doing? It's saying, no, I'm going to push back. See, isn't that what rubber does? You push on rubber. Okay, does it just give? No, it's pushing back on you, right? Okay, so you got two things here. You got the horse itself. He has this big fatty cushion in here. Okay, that is like bulging. I mean, you think about it, you press them down in here, it's just your cartilages are over here, and it's all pushing back immediately as it's being pushed down. But then it hits that frog that's here, and that thing's going, no, I'm fighting back against you. So even though you got all this weight on this horse and everything like that, this is like spring loaded. I mean, you want to know where the horse, you ever see a horse that is really light on their feet? I mean, it's like they have springs. I don't think we've ever really seen, maybe in the wild they would see it if the horse had perfect feet. If everything was anatomically correct, I think you're going to see some action that is going to just be out of this world, as if the horse isn't even touching the ground. I had this old timer tell me one time, because see, I had this mare and she was out wild with the wild bunches for the first 2-3 years of her life, because she was raised around, well, she belonged to a rancher who had a herd of horses, brood mares, and a big thoroughbred stallion. And wild stallion, there was a natural boundary, and a wild stallion came over and stole all the yearlings and 2-year-olds. Isn't that funny? Just like in the old movies like Fury and Flicka and all those old, if you're our age, on the weekends we would watch cartoons and there was always a horse movie. Okay, and they always said I remember these movies where the cowboys would be there, and the wild stallion would come and steal the mares and stuff like that. Well, that really happens. See? And so this mare got stolen with a bunch of other yearlings and 2-year-olds. And finally they were able to run her in and stuff, but she ran through a fence, a barbed wire fence, and I mean, she was tore up. And so, but this rancher, I wanted her. She was just beautiful. And this rancher, he was an alcoholic, a really bad alcoholic. He drank Jim Beam and water. And there were Jim Beam, empty Jim Beam bottles all over the Red Desert out there in Wyoming, where he had his ranch. And so anyway, every day he'd be down at this one bar called the Green Mill. And I went down there one morning. I said, well, Phil, his name was Phil Espy. I said, I'd really like to have that mare that got all cut up, you know. And he says, well, what do you give? I said, no, I said, what do you want for it? He said, well, how about $50 and a fifth of Jim Beam? So anyway, I bought that mare for $50 and a fifth of Jim Beam. And all I did was I go out there and I take a hose and I just hose out her big, huge, gaping holes that was in her chest and pour scarlet oil in there. And that I was amazed at how that mare healed up and stuff. But see, she had these kind of feet from being raised out there in the Red Desert. And I had this old timer one time, he was watching her run. And he said, you know, a fast horse when you don't even see their feet leave the ground. I mean, this mare had such good feet. I didn't realize at the time that this was a part of it because she had anatomically correct feet. You know, of course, first thing I did, got her in, we had some dumb farrier come and shoe her. But anyway, oh, no, I didn't say that. Okay, so I wish I would have had the forethought to think all this stuff when I was around all these wild horses and stuff like that. But anyway, so when everything is connected here just right, it is a marvel of engineering. I mean, it is just the most fabulous feat of engineering. Oh, no pun intended. Ha ha ha. Get it? A feat of engineering. So, okay. Yeah, the more you look at this foot, the more you think about it, and then the more you see how the capsule is supposed to fit. See, it is a marvel, a marvelous feat of engineering. Yeah. And here you see these bulbs aren't meant to be on the ground, pulled under and the horse pummeling this part of his foot, you know. Okay, so I've showed, and I have that picture where the other foot that was barefoot trimmed, how these heels, you see how these heels are up here and the bulbs are here. Okay, so you have hoof wall growing here, connected to the heel, and then growing down, and this bulb up off the ground. And so you see what a travesty it is that they're trimming all this out on purpose, and they don't know it though, and forcing this down and under on the bottom of its foot, shoving the actual heel up, pulling the bulbs down so that and it's interesting, see, because just the way it's done, and then they talk about heel first landings. Okay, these bulbs, these are bulb first landings. They've taken the true heel away from the horse and they are forcing them to land on parts that were never meant to be walked on, according to Xenophon, who was a Greek guy that was in Alexander the Great's army, and he described what a good foot was. He described it as, he said, the frog was high up in the foot. Now, on the good horses, see, they're war horses and stuff, a frog was high up on the foot. A frog that was low, they were crippled, like cripples among men. That's how he described them. And okay, so here you can really see what he meant. Now Bracy Clark, who quotes him, who was a veterinarian back in the 1820s that researched horses' feet for 20 years. Okay, he thought he meant down here. that you just had high walls and you made it so your horse wasn't walking on his frog down here. Okay, but that isn't what Exonophon meant. I mean, that can help for sure, because you won't be trimming your heels way low, forcing frog contact. But what Exonophon meant was that, look up here, high in the back of the foot, the frog is way up in here. Say high up in the back of the foot. And so you have a good inch of frog right in here, in the back here. And then it extends down here. You got your frog. Let's just draw it out. What the heck? Annotate. Okay, so you have this frog growing in here all through and then under the feet. Because remember, this part of the frog and the frog corium is vertical. Okay, like it's up in the back of the foot. It's vertical, like this, up in the back of the foot. Okay, and so this is about an inch or so right to here. Let's see, yeah, that'd be about an inch. Okay, and then it grows, well, let's see, how would that grow? Well, this part is going to grow another inch down this way. That frog. This is just the back of the frog. I haven't grown the sides of the frog, which would be over here. Okay. Something like that. Okay. And so this part is vertical. Going underneath the foot now is horizontal. Like this. So this big chunk is growing in between right here in the frog sulcus, the frog corium sulcus right here. And so we call what? This part the frog stay. All right, but it's all one unit right in there. Say, but part of it's vertical. Well, what happens when you trim the heels out and all this gets sucked underneath? It strips this out from between the bulbs and pulls the whole thing down thin so that it's just like this underneath the foot. Okay, so Exonophon meant high up, frog, high up in the foot. He didn't mean that, you know, here's like your walls, okay? He didn't mean that it was high up off the ground, although that's okay. Because what does the foot do? It spreads out and it descends down like that, see? Okay, so he meant high up in the back of the foot between the bulbs, like that, so that this was supporting the whole back of this structure. Okay, so again, here's your heels. The wall grows down, joins up with the sole right here, and then they grow down to the ground together so that you have, well, a good, that's probably too long, but you would have lots of sole under here. See? Okay.
Okay, so Linda, in
Mhm.
order for that frog, once we get the periople out of the frog stay area,
Mhm.
then as we move everything, continually move everything back, that frog is going to push up into that frog stay area.
Yeah.
Is that our task? Like, is
Yeah.
that what we're okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're doing. We're bringing that frog to life because the frog has been pulled and forced under the foot forward.
Yeah.
So as we get that thing growing, as that periople skin starts to remove, then that frog starts to come to life and the whole frog corium starts to move and stretch back and come back under the foot, starts growing in here, and it's pushing the back of the foot up at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and guess what? As it pushes the back of the foot up, okay, and pulls all back, these heels that got shoved up this way, it's starting to push them down. Although now, because this is cartilage here, some of our heels are just going to be crushed, and there's nothing we can do about that. But I still think it will grow pretty much regular heels anyway, because we're
Yeah.
forcing the walls and the whole foot to change, just like, even though you get a coffin bone that's worn off in front, you can still grow great sole and a good wall there,
And
So-
Linda, I have another question. When you started trimming out the periople from the frog stay and
Mhm.
kind of defining everything a little bit, did you find that they were a tad sore?
Well,
Not where they couldn't walk or anything, but they were light-footed, so to speak.
yeah, you know what? That could have been, but the thing was that when I first did it, I was using a boot, and I was also keeping the foot super moist. Okay.
Okay.
And then, my boot broke, and then I don't remember. I think I was having some physical problems or something like that, but I kind of just didn't get back to it for like about 6 months. And then when I did get back to it, it was the rainy season, so it was like muddy as heck around here.
Okay.
See, so if he was tender or sore, it didn't show up because we're in the mud,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't use boots on him the whole time. But I I can see where they would be, because you're taking away something they've depended on, to grow
Yep.
what's really supposed to be growing there. So, as far as my experience, because of where I live, and he's in a soft sod pasture, and we really had a lot of rain for a couple months, so it was soft the whole time. But I'm pretty sure if I would have taken him out here on the gravel road, he'd have been tender-footed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, let me turn this around here. Oh, wait. Well, let's see here. Okay, so just kind of look at this. Now, this is after the foot dried out more. Well, I actually had it in alcohol and stuff. But this mare, she just escaped being really badly trimmed. But she still had some issues in the capsule, but it really did not affect her foot. So that's the same foot as that right there.
Okay.
But
Mare?
what?
Is this the Jim Beam mare?
No, I never got her feet. that was a long time ago. This mare here, okay. Holly, that's in our group, okay, and Karen Cruz. All right, she had this mare. The mare's name was Fancy, and she broke her leg. And so they had to have her put down, and they sent me her feet. That's where this foot came from, which is really amazing because it is one of the few feet. Now I know I've had several feet that weren't messed up. Because see, when I first started doing these dissections, what you don't know is that the hoof capsule pulls the foot into a distorted shape. And so then when you do a dissection, that hoof is that inner foot is distorted and deformed, and you don't know it. See, and so that can, and that is something Bracy Clark, I don't know if he noticed that exactly, but he did note that, to his chagrin and embarrassment, that in a lot of his first experiments, he was dealing with deformed feet and didn't know it. And so because he was dealing with deformed feet, if that's what you're looking at, thinking that's the way it's supposed to be, then your conclusions and interpretations of what you see are not going to be correct, right? Because you're going to think a deformed foot is the natural foot. which he called the natural foot. He said the word natural, but true. He meant true foot. What is the true foot on these horses? Because they get so easily deformed and distorted. So this mare just happened, even though it wasn't a perfect hoof capsule, because now I'm obsessed with perfection, but now that I know what it is, you know, but she had a great capsule. Look at the thickness of the walls. See? There. And so you see here, now we know that this bar should have been trimmed over, right? Okay, but look, I mean, it still, you know, everything was where it should be, really. Nothing out of place. There's still, look at here, nice gap in the collateral groove. The frog is not overgrown anywhere. The periople, this is kind of blurry. The periople is only covering the back of the foot. It's not pulled underneath down here into the sulcus of the frog. And this is where the periople is supposed to be. It's just supposed to crown the foot here. Here's a little better. Now you can see how thick that periople is. And there's just so many things this periople skin does besides attaching the capsule to the leg. See, and again, when you take, look, this capsule, all this, a year from now would be gone. Okay, it would be no more. It would be dust. All right, only when the horse dies and you remove the capsule and do this, do you have it preserved for freaking ever. Okay, I don't know if you've seen, but people used to have their horses' feet removed and made into inkwells and stuff. Has anybody ever seen that?
No.
Yeah, it's vintage. It's a vintage thing. You know, if you had a horse you really liked, you know, they'd take the foot off after he was dead, of course, and preserve it, probably with the bone and everything. And then they'd put like a silver cap on top, and they would drill a hole, and you could make it into a paperweight or an inkwell or, you know, whatever you wanted there. Yeah, you can buy them. There was a whole bunch of them for sale on eBay, you know, that were like made in the 1800s or something like that. So yeah, this thing here lasts forever. You know, just like a mummy, you know. So this is kind of blurry, but see, that periople is just meant to cover up all this busy action going on back here. You know, we've just been looking at the back of that foot, right? Okay, marvel of engineering. So the periople, one of the things it does, attaching the hoof to the leg. Another thing, it's very soft. These hoof capsules are very sharp up here. So it covers this and makes it soft so it's not cutting into the top of the leg there. And then just to cover over the back of the frog, it just covers over the back of the frog. It's not meant to grow under and merge with the frog and become a false frog, but it does that. I mean, it can get super thick. It can dry harder than hoof wall. Okay. It can grow under here and still be pliable, and you think it's frog, but it's taken the place of the frog and it's holding the hoof capsule on. Like if a horse was to really wear its heels out and stuff, because that creates a situation mechanically that is pulling the capsule off. Okay, when you lower those heels, so that periople goes to work to cover in on that frog and hold the thing together so that the horse can survive. But when you're going to restore these feet, it becomes an enemy. I mean, it's a friend. I don't think I've talked about this with other people. If you really have nothing back there for the foot to be let loose and extend to, would you really want to just take it all out right away? No. You know, I think you need to do maintenance trims, be growing the heels. I think it has to be a controlled release. See, because I've already seen a couple feet, one horse, super bound feet, went in, kicked a wall. It broke half of his hoof capsule on one heel out, and the bulb just exploded out the back. You know, well, there's nothing there for it to be in. There's no hoof capsule, right? The other bulb is totally sucked in and bound by the other heel still. But where that horse kicked and broke that heel of that capsule off, where that bulb and everything was so compressed into that tiny capsule, it just went poof like that, you know. And then in another case over there in Germany, it's a situation where it was so wet for so long that it just allowed the bulbs to come out of the capsule. And so now they're growing new capsule and stuff like that. So I'll show you a picture of that. It's pretty interesting. So this Periople is amazing stuff. Periople is king. I'm going to tell you that right now. Periople is king. See, it crowns the whole foot. And in fact, I even think, you know, we call this the coronary band that grows the wall. Okay, coronary to crown. That means to crown, like corona. You know why coronavirus is called coronavirus? Because when you cut those things in half, those little coronavirus cells, whatever they are, okay, it looks like a crown. Corona means crown. All right, but the coronary band that grows the hoof capsule is not a crown. Okay, it does not encircle the whole foot. What it does, it comes around here, it stops right here, and it goes under the foot. See, it does not crown the foot, but this Periople, look at it. It crowns the whole foot and it unites the capsule to the horse. See, how cool is that? So, and it's a full circle right there. Yeah. And it was in, yeah. So anyway, okay. So there you see it more clear. Okay. See that Periople, how it just crowns top of the foot and just covers the back of the foot. It is not pulled underneath into the deal there. So we'll let you kind of look at these pictures here. Yeah, see, and this here soft. Now, and I want you to notice too that it form fits the foot. One of the things that happens when these bulbs are pulled down, when the heels are trimmed out and the capsule is forcing the bulbs underneath, this part here, which is the bar, well, there's the bar lamina that's attached to, we were looking at the inner foot, right? Okay, so the heel of that foot fits in there. And here's your bar right here. And this is your collateral groove right here. And it is to form fit the foot. Well, okay, so when all this is pulled down, what happens to that bar? It bends upward into the bottom of the foot and it is pushing, you know what's up in the foot, right up in here? The navicular bone. Okay, so while the back is being pulled down, it's bending this upward like that. And anyway, yeah, so and of course your coffin bone is up here. Okay, this hoof capsule right here, okay, you can't see it, but that's exactly what went on here with this hoof capsule. The back of the capsule was pulled down, the bar was bent up into the foot, and where the bar was supposed to be connected right in here, it had totally separated. So this is off a horse that I trimmed barefoot style for about 8 months, and then he got colic and died, and it was the vet's fault, not mine. And you can kind of see it there. You can kind of see, okay, now look here. Here you see how smooth this is and how this form fits the foot. Okay. And the heels are correct. And so the internal heel of the horse has not been shoved up with the bulbs being pulled down. And so right here, you can see how this bar got shoved up and how it's higher. See, so that would be like a severe ingrown toenail. Anyways, okay, so we're done looking at the anatomy of this foot, and it has been an hour that I've been sitting here talking to you. And so I'm gonna pause this recording, and I'm going to take a 15-minute break. And then when I come back, we are going to look at trimming videos of how I trim this frog. Okay, does that sound good?
All righty.
Okay, all right.
See you in 15.
All right. Let's see. Pause recording. Zoom recording. Okay, so we're going to look at, let's see here. Uh-oh. Just a minute. Share screen. Before we get into the videos on trimming the frogs and stuff, and I'll be doing it with a grinder. I just want to look at how people have a habit of letting these levers grow. And I think too, what works on these is doing those grooves that we've talked about before. Okay, so you see this foot here. Okay, you see this thing right here, how it's got that little triangle there?
Yeah.
Got to get that off of there. You know, there's something about it from the bottom, or I don't care if it's 2 inches, I don't care what's going on there. This has to come off.
Okay, so are you just putting like a bevel there, or are you just cutting it straight down from the top?
Well, I will come in there and flatten that out, you know.
Okay.
See, people are afraid to do that right there. But you've got to come in with that rasp and flatten, get rid of that hook on both sides right here. And sometimes what I'll do, like, you imagine if that broke off, what would it look like? See, they'll break them off so that it's not pulling the heels forward like that. But you got to get rid of this nubbin here. Say, rasp it down, whatever, you know,
Okay.
and then bevel it so that it is not looking like this from this side. Even if you came in there and just beveled that right to there, see, but you got to take that off and stuff, because all it's going to do you see how it's become a lever right here?
Yeah, it's just holding everything forward.
Yeah, and what it is the horse stand on it, and then it's pushing this up. Well, when that's pushed up, it's pulling this down.
Okay.
See, but I know that when you're trimming them, there's this thing going on with you, because it went on with me too, to where I'm like, I can't hardly trim that off, you know. But then when you see the picture, you go, no, that has to come off. See, I really think all this should be beveled right here. So your heels might fall a bit, but then they're going to rise, you know, they're going to rise too. And then, okay, anyway, let's look at some, I know there was some more pictures. Now, let's look at this foot. See? And yeah, that needs to be beveled, or, you know, right there. See, your feet aren't going to be right anyway, no matter what you do, because they're not right. And so, you know, we just kind of have to make do and work with what we got. So, what is that? That's interesting. That looks, oh, okay, I see. You're doing an operation, taking something off in there. I'll have to look at that. That's interesting. Okay, I didn't see that post. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Now this is pretty good, but she's got heels that stand up, okay? But you see where this needs to be beveled? How this is still, this whole thing here has become a lever, and you see that indentation right there? Okay,
Yeah.
that is you know, all these are being pushed forward and they're running into the tubules right here, and it's wanting to kind of go forward. So all this could be beveled back to here. That would help these horn tubules all start to move back. See, and I have to look at pictures and make myself bevel and move stuff according to the picture. Because when I have that foot in hand, a lot of times I'm going, well, I don't know if I want to do that, you know, because I got some mental block or something.
Dish, is this the start of the dish toe? If you
Oh.
go back to the file picture,
I did not understand a word of that.
if you go back to the previous picture,
Okay.
it's the start of a dish toe. You see how it dips in the front? Yeah, there.
Yep, but not very bad.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's actually pretty good straight dorsal wall there. She's still bound up back here. And one way you can tell, see, the more this periople, you see that's periople skin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, deposited on the hoof capsule. When you're bound up and your frog is sucked up under and in, and you got periople growing over there, you're going to have your hoof capsule, hoof wall, and the periople skin is going to be thick and weird like that. And you can see back here, it even goes down like that. So you know that this foot is bound up. I was thinking this the other day. Since when did these farriers start using these drum sanders? Have you seen that? They got the big drill with a huge drum sander on it. And they just,
Yes,
you know,
right. They rasp the hell out of the walls.
yeah, well, they're removing all this crappy periople skin because bad periople skin is a sign of hoof binding and heels being trimmed out, because the band is under stress, and so it's trying to grow more. You know, it grows more when it's under stress. It grows thicker and it grows more, and then it's deposited on the hoof wall here. See, so they want it to look nice, so they're going to dress it up to make it look like it's nice when it's not.
Yeah, but then they're also taking the natural moisture barrier
Yep,
protection off the hoof also.
yep,
Like,
yep, yep. And you see this, okay? See, that's always a sign of a bound foot. The better my feet have got, the better quality of the wall. Like, on my back feet, I had these funky looking cracks. Didn't look good. As the periople's been released, as I'm getting a new frog, all that, the quality of the hoof wall has totally changed. And then the periople puts a nice, pretty, shiny sheet over it. Looks like you put nail polish on, clear nail polish. You know, we see that this is all compromised hoof wall, things like that from the cartilage being bound under the foot. Other than that, it's got some good things going for it. But let's see, who was, oh, Jessica. See, I had like a 3 or 4 hour conversation with her the other day, and she's going through the same thing and seeing the same things I had with my horse, where uh, in the wet season, boy, we really seemed to be advancing. But in the dry season, everything kind of was going back, so very slow progress on these cartilages and unbinding the foot. So she just joined a group, and so she's really excited too to apply these things and see it work on her horse. Now, her horse is right at the stage where you could do quite a bit of removal and things like that. And because he's got a lot of hoof capsule and he's got pretty good form, and stuff. See, that's pretty good looking foot, really, right there. And the cartilage in this foot is pretty good too. See, but he's just bound in that frog underneath. And so, okay, so anyway, so not much of a lever there, but somebody had posted a gray horse, another pretty good foot, but toes too long. But look at the quality. Look at the hoof wall on that guy. See, got to remember too, getting these apexes down, getting these frogs alive. Okay, well anyway, just a second. Okay, you see, I don't have that lever, and I'm doing pretty good at getting my bevel back to there. Okay, here we go. There we go. Looky there. See it? You're better off to shorten up your heel to here and take all that out. See? Or even do up and like that. Take the whole thing out. Okay. Yeah, see, there's just something about it. People have a hard time taking this off. Well, you know what part of it is? When you look at the huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think what part of it is when you turn this foot over, you're seeing that run forward sole, and you're not connecting this as being where it's at. To see that the heel is run forward actually into the quarter. Okay, because you're seeing this foot from here forward turned over, and it don't look like that to you.
That's right. If you see it, you can't fix it.
See, this all needs beveled, all in here. Here's another thing. Okay, and this has helped Holly. All right, and she talks about her string method, and she takes the string, she puts it from here to show her what she needs to take off here. Okay, so when you're looking at these feet and you see, just a minute here, annotate. Okay, and you see this number, see that? Okay, that shouldn't look like that. If we were to go back and look at my horse's feet that I just showed you, when you look at a picture from the side, this is what you see on him. See, it's straight. So see how this has been allowed to grow too long right here? Okay, so you got to trust the pictures more than your eyes. Okay, and so I would come in here and I would flatten this out. I would rasp this down until I could look at it. Like you can see it even when you're standing up looking down, you'll see they look rounded here. Okay, and so I would either come in here with a pen and mark that straight, or she takes a string, she puts it here over to here, and the string will line up right about there. And so then you turn the foot over and you just start rasping that down until you can look at it from the side and it's flat. See? let's see here. Let me clear all drawings. If I was gonna draw, okay, so it'd be like this. See there?
Yeah.
Okay, now do you see this piece of foot too? Now, we've been looking at a lever that's right here, but this whole piece is turned into one big giant lever. Let's see. Look at it. See how this horn tubule here has it should be here, and it's been shoved forward, probably from leaving this part high. This is what you call leaving this area in here a little too high all the time. And eventually, and plus, you know, the heels being trimmed out and stuff. See where that horn tubule's at? It's supposed to be right here. Okay, I'm having a coughing fit. I'm gonna have to turn this fan back on. I just cannot sit here in this room with no fan, and so it might have a bad sound in the video, but oh well. Let's see. Let me undo that. Okay, so this piece here, look at it. See, and then you got this. This whole thing should be, this tubule needs to be about there. You see that? All of these tubules that are here run forward like that, need to come back up like that. And remember, the way you do that is, well, first of all, she have to come in here and flatten this out so that she can look at it and see it's flat, and then bevel the whole thing. Okay, and that, what does that do? That allows this horn tubule that is now beveled and up to here to fall back to there. Come in here again. A few days later, you notice, hey, my bevel's gone. Seems like the wall didn't grow. All this is under pressure, by the way. It wants to come back. So you come in there, you flatten it out again, you bevel it. Guess what it does? It's able to pull back. See, come in again. See, just over time there, as these grow down and fall down, because see what happens is when you bevel that up there like that, it will fall back down like that. It'll pull back and fall down, and it'll look like your bevel's gone. So you come in, bevel it again. What happens? It's going to fall down like that. You've given it room to move, room to move. So you just come in and say, and so that's what happens till finally you get it back here. All these do the same thing. See, and then guess what? You see how that's going to help that dorsal wall. Now you were talking before, I think Tiffany, you said something about that other foot looked like it had a dish.
Yeah.
Okay, but I said no, that wall actually looks pretty good. But look at this one. See, that's because, well, for two reasons. One, this, see, whenever you see this hollow sucked out look here, that's because that frog and periople's been sucked up under the foot there. And another thing, because these horn tubules, okay, because they're supposed to be here, but they're shoving forward over into here, supposed to be here, but they're here. What are they doing? They're shoving this toe wall that way. They would keep this toe wall from coming back. Okay, and it would have to come back to be straight. See there? But it won't be able to because all these are shoving it forward. Plus, they're pulling the whole back of the foot down and forward as well. Okay, so anyway, these are just some of the things when you're trimming that you have to work with. You have to look at these horn tubules. You know, what is it that's sucking and pulling this whole foot down and forward? And what is the effect is it having on the front? And remember, this is just the capsule. What's that doing to that foot inside there? See, these heels here are covering over the true heel. And the real heel, internal heel, is being shoved up into the foot there. Okay, well, all this will start straightening that out. Okay, well, I am going to go to, just a minute, to a video. We're going to watch a video. I mean, because I could give examples. We could talk about this all week. So let's see, where am I at? So I'll get the video and then I'll change the thing here.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on, I gotta. Just a second here. Okay, I got it here. Just a second here. New share. Okay, I don't know if this is one where I swear or not, so I'm just gonna narrate and keep the sound off. Yeah, it's funny. I go take my horse for a walk anymore. He don't spook, but if something happens or anything, I'll jump and scream. That's what happens when you get older. Okay, so here we are. I'm working on a back feet now. Let me tell you that way back when I was doing barefoot trimming, and see, I know other people are like this too. Okay, we're always working really hard on the front feet, but the back feet, we kind of tend to ignore them and just hope they'll take care of themselves to a certain degree. And so I would never trim the frogs hardly at all on these back feet. And now I know that they got dead and petrified, which is probably okay when you're trimming the heels out, because the more dead and petrified the frog is, the more that it's going to hold your capsule on, say, to a degree, as long as you're keeping the toe back. And so then when I finally figured out, hey, we need to trim these frogs, but I still wasn't trimming them enough. I just didn't know it. But everybody's frogs got healthier and my feet started changing and getting better. And so on the back feet here, now say, always have to laugh when I say this. My back feet are behind my front feet. And well, of course they are. And what I mean by that is I started doing this frog trimming that I'm doing on the front later, at a later period of time on the back feet. And I have been seeing them change quickly and dramatically faster than all the years that I wasn't doing this frog trim, periople trim thing I'm doing now. And so they're really changing quickly. And one of the things that's happening, because see, at the same time that I started trimming these frogs differently, and that periople, I started trimming the bars differently as well, to where we are, to make sure you were hearing me here, to where I know that what I'm doing now is more anatomically correct and is opening up these bars to help these heels move more. And so this combination of stuff is, okay, as you see this bar here, okay, you know how I was telling you at the first of these videos, we were looking at the barefoot, the internal foot with the capsule taken off. We got to clarify that. Okay. And how these, okay, you see how that heel's curled in there? Okay. Okay, the heels are curled in and the bars are grown up and they're actually covering over the internal heel. And so as these heels uncurl, because see, all this is pulled in like so. Okay, as this is coming out and as this whole frog is moving back, it's opening up these areas that have been covered over for years. And I told you about, and I think it was on this same foot, in fact, how I'd been trimming to the distortion of the frog. The frog had grown way over and it had filled up the collateral groove, and I was trimming the bar way over too. And when I finally trimmed that frog over here, I found my bar was totally broken off. Yeah, big black line, dirt line. And so I had to remove that whole bar. That was the first time I ever did something like that. Now you don't run into blood when you do that because you're just removing it down to the lamina line. And then anyway, but it grew back and it grew back better, obviously. Well, what I noticed here when I did this, let's see here. When did I do this trim? Hold on. Well, this thing. When did I do this trim? Let's see. I got to look at properties. Hold on. Okay, this was June 23rd on this particular trim, but I had been, what you're going to see me do here in trimming this frog, I've been doing this now for 4 or 5 months. Okay. All right, so let me pull this back up. Okay, so what I noticed when I did this trim this time, I noticed how this bar has moved here and how now there's this real strange thing, almost like a healed abscess going on, because let me tell you what an abscess is, where the sole comes loose. Okay, something's happened to make that sole come loose, that piece of sole come loose. Just as if you'd pried part of your fingernail up or something, you know. And so I'm looking at this now and I see, this is interesting. This whole bar configuration has changed. This heel is coming back. It's opened up a part of the sole here that wasn't open before. So what you come back to when you come back is, and what you see when you come back is even more important than what you left. Okay, because you're going to see the different changes in the foot and stuff like that. Now I had trimmed this whole frog clean like 2 weeks before to what you're going to see when I trim it this time. And it's really interesting how you can just totally clean these things up and then you come back and they've just massively grown. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here. Okay, gotta adjust. Now, hopefully my big fat arm will not be totally in the way the whole time I'm doing this. See, that's the hard part. Getting the camera where you can really see what I'm doing without my big fat arm in the way. Now, the grinder I have here is a small 4-inch grinder, and I am able to use 3-inch discs on it. And of course, right here, I thought, you know what mistake I almost made there? Using that grinder without tying that tail up. You do not want to do that, okay? You don't want to forget to not tie your tail up. You know why? Because you're going to have a real rodeo on your hands when that hair and that tail gets wrapped up in that grinder. How do I know this? Yeah. So anyway, I'm taking time here to tie his tail up. Okay, there we go. I'm going to put my foot in the stand here. I'm going to get my grinder. Okay, I'm trying to move that so I know you can see it. Now, what you see here, okay, is you see the bulb skin here, pulled in here and like that. See, I still don't have the true central sulcus going on here. And these bulbs should not be pulled under here like this, but they're not half as bad as they used to be. Remember how I was showing you this bulb needs to be this is periople. See the difference in the periople and the frog? And so all of this eventually, this whole frog is going to be moving back. These bars are going to be looking a lot better. They're already changing. Let's go. Okay. Here we go. First thing, now you can start out with a knife. And you can actually do this with the knife, but it's just much easier if you can finish it off with a Dremel, especially when you're going to go getting up here between these bulbs and forming this central sulcus. So I'm just coming in there. Now, here's another handy hint. Okay, get yourself an extension cord and get an electrical box like you would put in the wall, and get yourself a dimmer switch. Okay, a dimmer switch, and put a dimmer switch in your heavier duty electrical cord, and you can make yourself a variable speed grinder so that you can handle it better. And of course, even watching this, I get irritated because Valor's always pulling his foot away from me. I'm like, darn you. See? I ain't hurting him at all, but he just thinks he has to do that. So, okay, I'm going to put my knee up behind your leg there, buddy. Okay, but see how nice these grinders work? See? Just come in there. Now, again, you see the dust flying off that? You want a really good respirator mask. You do not want to be breathing this stuff. Now, we looked at the internal foot, right? And you saw there is a very deep cleft in that frog corium. So ultimately here, I'm going to get pretty deep into the cleft here because see, I want this frog to move. So you need moisture, and you need to learn to take these frogs down to where they're flexible. Yeah, just keep pulling your foot away from me. Oh well, I'll be patient.
He says good.
And I think, something may be bothering him on that other foot too. My worst heel has been this heel over here. Okay, oh, I have decided I'm going to sit down. Okay, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so you see what I've done so far with the grinder. Now remember, when we look at the inner foot, even though we have boundaries, like you're going to have bar lines and stuff like that, it's very seamless and smooth, right? So ultimately, we want to work towards getting our trims to look like that. And what I'll do is I'll work on it and I'll get it cleaned up. And then I'll take my hand and I'll start feeling everything. I don't want anything that's super hard or petrified. Now, so I want it shaped. I want it to have a nice shape, I want it to be symmetrical. Give me your foot. Yeah. And see what I meant. It's hard to do these videos so you can see everything I'm doing there, but I was getting up between the bulbs here and I'm trying to get in and form a central sulcus because that thing will just fill up and be flat. But we know from looking at the frog aquarium, it's not just flat, right? Okay, so I want there to be a central sulcus in here. And I'll use this tool and I will clean up the rest of the foot. I use a number of things. I use this grinder. I use the Proxon. I use the knife. Okay, now you see here, I'm getting up between the bulbs there. Now, if your bulbs are super contracted, that's going to be a little difficult there. You're going to have a lot of moisture and just work on other areas if you can't get up between there. Okay, let's see what it looks like there. Okay, so that you see how I've come up there and I got an indentation there now. Wait a minute. Come on. I'm gonna just fast forward here a little bit. There, I'm trying to make a central sulcus there is what I'm doing with that grinder. Now this takes some practice, and also that's why I say get yourself an extension cord. You get an electrical box like you'd put in the wall. This is what I've done. And then I cut that extension cord, okay, and I put that electrical box and both ends in, and then I hook up a dimmer switch, and then I tape all that up. So, and I have the whole thing connected to one of those things you put in the ground for an electric fence. Okay, so I can just stick it in the ground, and that way I can plug my grinders in there. Now here I'm using the Proxon. You see how much easier those are. See those long neck angle grinders like that. And you know what's weird? You notice the flies coming out of the woodwork there? When they hear that buzzing, I don't know, I guess that's like the carrion call to them or something, because flies just start coming out of the woodwork. You know, they must think that there's zillions of flies over there eating something that's dead and it's calling them.
You're the Lord of the Flies.
So that's what's nice about this Proxon. It's easier to handle. You can get cheap discs on Amazon for it. Because the Proxon discs, they want an arm and a leg for, like $9-10 for a little disc, and it wears out real quick. These are discs that go on those air grinders. And you can get these on Amazon, and you get like 10 or 12 of them for like $10-15 with different grit. And these are nice. You can get up, see around there. Like, you know, I do this, whatchamacallit, scribing with a knife, but you can actually pretty much scribe with this little grinder here. Pretty nice. And clean up all that dead soul. See, now, this is how a trim should look. Not like, I just can't believe some of these professionals, the trim that they leave on these horses is just god awful junky looking. Well, it's probably a good thing, and what it really shows, they don't know what they're doing. Okay, so see that there, how I really cleaned that up and put in a central sulcus in here, because okay, here's where your frog stay is. And the whole frog aquarium is displaced. And so you're wanting to thin this out. And the reason you got to have the moisture and stuff is because all of this is under pressure. It really doesn't want to be there. And so the more moisture it gets, the more it's going to want to pull back. All of this wants to pull back behind the heels here. And so, yeah, so I'm thinning this out because why do they call it a frog stay? Because wherever it grows, that's where the foot's going to stay. But in reality, we looked at the inner foot. Let's just take another quick look at that. Okay. Now this is what I'm trimming there. Okay. And so that big chunk of frog has grown in there and the whole foot is distorted and pulled in down like this. This is all soft cartilage and fat. It all can be moved in all kinds of different directions and shapes. And so then when that frog on the capsule, the shoe, the boot, self-grown shoe your horse wears, grows in there after this is all deformed and distorted, well, it's just going to hold it right there, along with the heels and everything else. And now we've done pretty good. We have trimmed these frogs more than anybody, except some of them Ginsu farriers. And so we have healthy frogs. We've been doing good at that. Okay. But we weren't doing it enough because we're just thinking of, well, we want a healthy frog. Okay. We weren't thinking of the fact that, okay, along with the heels that have been distorted and deformed and are holding the whole foot here, well, that whole frog corium has pushed forward and then grown a big, thick, dead frog. God knows how long that dead frog's been living in this central sulcus here. And remember, frog stay, central sulcus, all one unit here. You know, in reality, I was thinking about this. The inner foot, the frog corium, it has a central sulcus. See? But by the time it grows frog, it's all thick, one piece, and it includes the frog stay up here. It's no longer really a central sulcus. The whole thing is a frog stay, you know? So to me, the capsule itself has a frog stay. The frog corium has a sulcus that grows the frog stay. Do you see the difference? You know, anyway, you know, somebody named all this stuff, right? That doesn't mean that we cannot correct and refine and define it a little differently than what they did, because we can know more than what they did. See, same with what I was telling you about the periople band. You know, it coronates, crowns the top of that foot. And the coronary band that they call the coronary band that grows the hoof wall, it doesn't. Look, it stops right here and it goes under the foot. That's not a crown. See? But the periople band, that thing is a crown. So anyway, and it battles for the foot, I'll tell you. Okay, so let's go back to our video. Let's see here. Share screen again. Here we go. Okay, so I'm pointing here to where I have really tried to trim out some of that where the frog corium central sulcus is, because I want it. Why would I want to thin that down? Can somebody tell me? Anybody still here? I got 4 people here now. Can somebody tell me, why am I wanting to thin this down? Is anybody alive out there?
I'm sorry, I had audio issues. Is the question, why do you trim this down?
Yeah.
Why are you creating a false central sulcus?
Yeah.
Because anatomically there's one underneath.
Right. And we want this whole thing to move, right?
Correct.
Because the frog corium, okay, has been pushed and forced forward under the foot. And then it grew frog, and that frog is binding it right there. And while we've been trimming the hills and trying to get them to come up and la 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 la, okay, we've been ignoring what has been going on because we did not know with this whole frog right here. And that is that not only is it growing some frog, yeah, but this periople that grows up here, it grew over the whole thing to one degree or another, and it is holding this whole frog right here because the frog has to move too, not just the heels, because we are restoring the whole foot. So I want to thin this out, which even if the frog corium is where it's supposed to be in the end, you know, I'm still going to put a slight indentation in here and different things like that. But one reason I'm really going to thin this down too is because I want everything to be able to move. See, as the foot is moving and trying to restore itself, because see what we're doing, we're trying to get this foot internally to move so that it will be in the right position to grow the hoof capsule correctly. And so one thing I've been seeing, the more you trim these frogs and, you know, get all this thin down and get up here way up between the bulbs, and as that frog grows, it's like a jack that's in the foot right here, and it just starts pumping, it just starts pushing the back of this foot up where it's supposed to be. See, so okay. And in the end, this is all going to be about detail work. What did you say? Something? Somebody say something there?
No, but I do have a question about the tools that you're using, and I'm not handy whatsoever. But what is the difference between the big Dremel that you started with and this little guy that you're working with now, the fly?
Oh, littler and easier to work with.
So how come we don't use this one? If I'm to buy one, I would purchase this little guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could get him, or you know, if you had the money and you want to go all out, you could get one of them hoof boss things that got all the little attachments and everything, all the different heads, and they're almost, I think they're $350 or something like that. Hoof boss. This is Proxon long neck angle grinder, and then you have this thing that somebody put together called the hoof boss. They got one for horses, one for goats, and it's a similar grinder. Okay, but it comes with all the bells and whistles. In the end, you know, if it was me and I had the money, I'd go with the bells and whistles. You know, because these heads are really expensive. The metal heads that you put on these are really expensive. We'll take a look at some of these, but anyway, okay. So see, I'm taking my finger, I'm feeling it. Can I press in it? You know, most of our frogs have been so petrified. You can't press in and feel any flexibility. But one thing, did you notice when we started out? Okay, over here, I want you to look here. Okay. Okay, look at how that frog looks. Okay, now I'm showing you the frog trimmed. When I trimmed a couple weeks ago, that is what the frog looked like. It was totally cleaned up like that. And you can see how much that frog has grown just in a couple of weeks. So, okay, so I'm going to go back over here. And so see, I'm detailing. You can detail up your bars. You want to detail maybe a little more with the knife. You just use whatever, you know, drum sander, Dremel, Proxon, anything and everything. We're like manicurists, you know, you got to have the right tools to do a nice manicure, more like, well, you know, a podiatrist. Okay, yep, clear up in here, see? That's where your periople grows down from here. right up here. That's what, when I'm going to remove a hoof capsule, I have to cut through the periople because it's what binds the capsule at the top to the hide on the leg. Okay, see this white skin here? That is periople right there. See, you got to realize the whole bulb and periople at one time when I was barefoot trimming was pulled totally under the foot. And so just like the bars grow up and smudge over the sole, that periople just starts smudging and joining into the frog right on the sides, and it smooshes over the whole central sulcus. Like right here, as far as I know, I could still have a whole layer of periople growing over this central sulcus underneath this. This could be false frog. See, because you see, we looked at that foot, you saw how seamless everything is, right? Okay, so it's so easy for stuff to merge and kind of get joined together. All them coriums are just seamless from the frog to the sole to the bars. You know, and like I say, I could come in there first with a sharp knife and I could take off the basics and then I could finish it off with the grinder, you know. Now see this foot too. I trimmed it the same way the last time. Now I'm talking in the video, I say now I may detail that out. You know, I mean, to a lot of people that are going, well, that's already pretty detailed, you know, but the more you know, the more you understand, the more, you know, you can fine tune stuff. Okay, so look at how it flies. They're just going wild. Okay. Now I'm gonna map the foot. Now that I did that and I got my apex and my frog trimmed, I thought, well, I'll map the foot now. Yep, get your center. So his toe is right where it's supposed to be. I'm telling myself there. I'm gonna go ahead and just, now here, put a dot there. And again, we were trimming the bars where this was, you know what? It doesn't seem like it would make much of a difference, but it made a big difference. And that's the whole thing. An inch on this foot anywhere, anyway, is a big difference. Why is that? Because we are dealing with anatomy. An inch on your shoe makes a big difference. If your shoe is too small, it makes a big difference. If your shoe is too big, it makes a big difference. Your shoe has to fit your foot, right? And so we're dealing with anatomy. Even buying shoes, you're dealing with anatomy because the shoe you buy has to fit your anatomy and stuff. And so an inch is a mile when it comes to anatomy. You know, you can miss death by a hair, you know, and stuff. So you see these, even though these measurements are general, okay, what they're doing is they are really helping us get in the general vicinity. And then as we keep trimming, you know, we'll learn to fine tune things the more we know. But I have noticed a distinct difference in how my feet have responded since I started trimming the bars like this. just a little different. See, from there to there. What is that? That's about an inch, right? And see, and the neat thing was when I started doing this, which I don't even know why I started doing, I just thought, well, let's try that and see what's going on. But then after I did it a few times, I realized, wow, it's right where my bar is. And that's where they're actually supposed to end, is right there. So it worked out really good. So draw your lines on your heels. And I put it under the hair and then kind of roll it forward. And another thing that's interesting is I'm finding that usually the heels, and I don't say anything is a constant on these feet, nothing, but you do kind of start to see that some things kind of seem to be, but I would not guarantee. You know what I mean by constant? That it's the rule all the time, you know, that you could go by. No, I wouldn't say anything is a constant. Other than, well, no, if your frog is stretched forward, okay, your apex is stretched forward to here, and you measure 1.5 inches forward, you okay, you've still got 1.5 inches. That's your general measurement, but it's going to be in the wrong place, right? So you see how even that cannot be a constant if your apex is off. But that would be the closest thing to being a general rule and a constant that we have, except that when we're doing this, the whole foot is shifting. Your apex, when this frog starts pulling back to wanting to go where it's supposed to, the frog corium of the inner foot, your apex location will change. The whole foot will shift, you know, so. Okay, yep, that's where I swore. Something scared me and him both. Okay. Yeah, all right. Well, let's go past that part. Okay, so I'm going to fine tune these bars right here. See, that bar's growing over the sole right there. Remember the bar we started with? Let's go back and look. Okay, right there. See it? Okay, and they, again, this is like about a 2-week trim. They have grown. See, everything is growing better and moving, you know? Okay, so that's the bar. Even though it's all cleaned up now, I cleaned it up with the Proxon. Okay, that is the bar I'm trimming. All right, so let's go back up here. Right here. So you just follow along the top of the wall. And you got to get right up in this corner here. So I know that sole probably under there will maybe a little thin. Come on, buddy. Okay, so I am just following the wall down to try and get it lined up with my line. Now, remember how we started? The shape of the foot. That's my hair. because you'll notice I'm going down. The bar here is not going to be as high as the wall. Of course, I haven't taken my walls down yet, but why is that? Because that is not the shape of the foot. See? And if you allow the bar to get too high, it's always going to lay over that part of the sole. You want that sole to grow in. And it's real important to get up at the very corner of it here, of the bar wall. I'm not talking about digging out the seed of the corn. I don't ever really dig out the seed of the corn. See, I kind of let it do its own thing to a degree, because as these bars are moving, that's all kind of moving back and coming out anyway. Which I don't know, I could be wrong about that, but now I decided to do something here that I think I decided to do something. What I'm doing is I'm kind of making just a little extra indentation right there, because I've been wondering if these bars are holding my heels forward. So I was just doing a little experiment in there. But you just for now, I'll do the experiment and then I'll tell you if it works.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we at? Oh, there we go. Okay, now here again, it's very important that you learn to rest the wall flat to the level of the sole. Okay. Okay, now, you know how we were talking earlier about that weird lever that people are leaving right here? Okay, so this is what you're going to see me do here. I take this off every time, this area right here. Now, you know, it's a catch-22, because on the one hand, we do want to leave some wall here on heels that we're trying to grow up and stuff like that. But other times we need to take it down so it doesn't become a lever. So see, that's why people have such a hard time taking it down, because they're always supposed to leave that, but you just have to take some of that down. Okay, see the way I'm coming straight over on it like this? You have to learn to take all this down without taking the heel down, or without taking the heel right here, the point of the heel lower than your mark. But you have to take this down.
Can I say something?
Now, you see these little cracks here? Look how long the walls are. Look how high the walls are. Okay, those are stress cracks from the wall being long. Okay, there I go. See how I'm getting that part right there, but not hitting and taking this heel down. You do not want to draw your rasp back like that ever, because you will wind up taking your heels too low. Okay, you want to come in here from the side and pull this rasp this way and take that area that becomes a lever down. You know, or like I did on this side, I pushed the rasp that way. See, that is that exact area that we were talking about. I wish I would have moved my tripod, but I didn't. Okay, now see, I'm rasping across, I'm rasping over, but kind of pulling it up at the same time. So you're trying to rasp relatively a level surface. And then you do your bevel. Once you've got, you know, everything wraps pretty level to the way you want it, then you do your bevel. And you come back and look at pictures and stuff, go, well, I could have done more here. I think now, been doing him long enough that his foot isn't real bent, so I can get a pretty good clean white line all the way around. Okay, where's my... Now, here's where I have decided I'm going to take more of the pillar down to make sure that the foot stays spade shaped in the back. Or am I beveling here? I may be beveling here. I could be wrong. Nope, I'm beveling here. I decided to bevel. Oh, nope, I'm not beveling. Sometimes what I'll do, I'll tell you what I do. Sometimes I'll go flat, like I've done flat here, and then I may bevel, but then I'm looking at the shape and I may take some more down and stuff. And you learn to read your sole ridge. When you take the wall just down to the level of the sole, you will not see a rasp line here. Let me see here. Let me do a little annotation. Okay. Okay, so, oh, what color should we go? Well, let's go with white. So you take this down to the level of the sole. You're not going to see maybe you'll get some of it might be a clean white line, maybe not, depends on the shape of your foot. Okay. You can't really force that, especially right here in the quarters, because if the foot is bent, it's going to take a while to get a clean white line. But anyway, so when you first, your sole ridge comes out to about here. Okay. And so, just a minute here. Let me do a different color. Okay. And so when you first come down just to the sole, it'll be about here. And then if you take another rasp swipe, just a minute. I'm looking for thickness. Oh, there we go. Okay, so then let's say I'm just barely to the level of the sole. I may have got into the white line, which is really yellow. Okay, but then I take another rasp swipe. I'm going to have just done that much sole. Say, let's say I just did that much sole. And then I take another rasp swipe to take it a little lower. Then I'll have this line here a little wider. See? And so the more rasp swipes I take to taking the down, the wider this is going to be. And that's how you tell to kind of read your sole. Now you have to take into consideration stuff like, look, I got a real asymmetrical foot here, wider on this side than that side, and you know, different things like that. But this is, you're learning to read this sole here. See, and so the more you rasp down, the wider this is till you finally get to where you're through. You've rasped the whole width of the sole ridge, which would be about here, about the width of a shoe. Then if you keep rasping down, you're gonna get way too close there. And here's the concave part of the foot, and this is the convex part. Convex, concave. So that's one aspect of learning to read the sole. Of course, you know, these wild feet will not always look, wild horses, even with perfect anatomy and stuff, won't even look concave. Uh-oh. Let's see here. Okay. And you always want to finish off with small teeth of the rasp. Like finish your sharp edges. You don't want to leave any sharp edges. Up here, you want to do a nice finish with small teeth on a rasp, because if you leave a sharp edge, it's very sharp, and it can, your horse can step on himself and cut himself. Well, okay, I'm going to have to leave you for just a second. Hold on. I think I got somebody at the door. I'm probably going to have to leave here because we got somebody coming to unload a shed for me. But anyway, we'll wait for a minute and see what they do out there. Okay, so you see the sole ridge there? See? And now I'm beveling, and I always take the toe back to the white line. People say, well, what angle? Well, I don't know. I'm standing there and I'm aiming down. That's, you know, I don't know if that's 25 degrees, 30 degrees, 40. I don't know. But the purpose of this is we want this toe to roll over without catching. See, that's the purpose of that. That's the breakover. Okay, and then I'm going to blend in the sides here. And I'll finish off with small teeth coming up around here. And again, getting those sharp edges off. Uh-oh, I just moved.
Would you bring it back to the white line even on like
Lost
a
my
soda
place.
can
Okay.
foot?
Now, what am I doing there? Hold on. I keep missing this. Right? Well, anyway, what I'll do too is I will lay my rasp flat across the foot to see, you know, how level I am, or if it's cattywampus.
Amanda, can you repeat your question, please?
Thank you. Oh no, I'm not good
Upstairs.
at talking. um, I have a question about like a soda can foot or a
See
clubby.
right there? I laid the rasp down to kind of
I don't know
see
if
if
she
it
can
was
hear me.
kind of level in here. Now look at that nice sole ridge there.
Linda, can you hear me?
Okay, so I'm gonna bevel that toe again back to the white line. a lot of times I will remap. It is important to when you have taken all this out to remap and draw your line. So you're getting your toe even on both sides, but I didn't do that here. And while I'll take this totally back to the white line, so it just rolls from the sole over, I don't always bevel the sides that much. I will just come into the water line here. Water line is the whitest part of the hoof wall. So I'm looking at that going, I think I'm going to take some more of that off. See, it's hard to do because you want to leave it. And so look, it becomes a lever. All right, so that's that one. Okay, well, what time is it? It is 4:08. Okay, are there any questions or any observations that anybody made?
Can you hear me?
Okay,
Can
well,
you hear me?
I think we're gonna end here today. So and then on the next meeting, we're gonna just look at some more trims, look at some more trimming the frog. I may even have some new ones to do by then, but I think this is probably enough for today. Again, any questions or comments or?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I hope everybody has a good week, and we'll be talking to y'all on Facebook and stuff then, okay? Is anybody alive out there? Hello?
Oh, thank you. I don't know if you can
Tiffany,
hear.
are you still there?
I'm here. I'm here.
Amanda?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I was on mute. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay, say something now.
Can
I
you
was
hear
on,
me?
yeah, I can hear you now, man. I was on mute. I was like, wow, where'd everybody go? That happens
It's
every once in a
okay.
while.
It's okay.
They're all yelling, hey, we're over here.
I had one question if you have time.
Sure.
It was my question was regarding the white line, taking the total the white line every time. So I have two horses with a high foot, and it's like extra squished. And I feel if I take the toe to the white line, I'm going to be bringing the toe back. Would that be a case I still should be rolling the toe to the white line
Well,
as well, or?
Can we look at a picture
Sure.
so I
How do I
see
do
what
that?
you're talking about?
How do I give you a picture?
Can you send me one in Facebook Messenger?
Yes, I can. Heading there now.
Like a side
And
view and a sole view?
sure.
Okay, and I will head there as well. Let's see here.
Gets the left front. There it is. All right, so I'm gonna send you an old one.
Okay.
'Cause that's the best I have, just as an
Okay.
example. All right, let's see. Just gotta find it. Oh, forgive me, I have a lot of hoof pictures.
That's okay. I can relate.
There. Sent.
All righty. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you got a club foot, as they call it. High low going on here, or high normal. Just a minute. Let's see. Got stuff in the way. Well, that's, you see, you have a tough situation there with that foot.
So he's much better now. That was in 2020.
Okay.
It's lower, like it's unfolded a
Yeah.
lot, but it's not quite that bad. But I've never taken his toe back ever.
Okay,
Because
you
I've been,
didn't have to. He just wears it off.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let me do the share here so people know what we're looking at.
Okay.
Okay. So, you know, his foot is so, he wears his own toe off. And he's got such a steep wall. You know, when on the other feet, I'm really glad you brought this up. You see how hard this is? That you know, there are feet. Yeah, no, you probably wouldn't want to do that because he needs everything he can to keep his toe going forward, you know, or he's gonna knuckle over.
Right.
So yeah, yeah, and you can even see where he's wearing on it on that one. Yeah, foot like this, yeah, you want him to have some wall there to try and keep pulling that toe forward
Okay.
and stuff. But like on most of our feet that we have, most feet are more run forward, you know what I mean? And stuff, you don't have any current pictures? Because I would see, now how old was this horse here?
2.
Okay. So see, you know, I come up with this theory and I'm pretty sure I just know this theory is right, is that these feet get like this because these colts, unlike in the wild, when they get up and they got rough terrain and they are following their mother immediately, okay, and they are wearing the periople and the frog down on a continual basis so that as the foot is growing, the hoof capsule is expanding and the cartilages back here are able to expand and the hoof capsule expand. But in our domestic horses, a lot of times they don't get the wear that would wear that frog and periople off, and so their feet are not expanding back here the way they should. And so I think that's what causes club feet and other things. Like, okay, we got Amanda Smith. I don't know if you've seen pictures of her filly's feet.
Yes.
Okay, well that's what happened to that filly. Her foot outgrew the capsule in the back, and this is like the opposite. You know, in this case, instead of the capsule kind of growing off the foot and the foot hanging out the back, you know, in this case, everything just kind of bound up into one neat little package. You know, and so in this group, that's what we're doing, trying to understand, like, let's see, you had a soul picture and stuff. Yeah, that is exactly what I see going on here. You know?
I just sent you a February one too.
Oh, okay.
It's not as good because I don't have them on the pavement is all.
Okay. But I can look at this frog here and I can tell that this frog was binding his feet, but it looks like a nice healthy frog, doesn't it? You know, but what it was this frog did not wear, and the periople here too pulled down under the foot, not because his heels were trimmed out, but because his foot was growing, but the capsule was staying the same size because the frog on the capsule and the bulb skin was holding it right there. Does that make sense?
Yes, and that's what you told me 2 years ago when I asked you. And it and it makes sense too because I was actually told he wasn't trimmed at all. He was trimmed once, like a few weeks before I got him. For the first time. So nothing was getting trimmed off. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So his little frog just stayed there and never got wore down. And, you know, because when we started this, I don't know if you were here, but we were looking at the capsule and the foot. The capsule and the foot. And the capsule is temporary and should be growing off. And the foot is permanent. So, you know, we know how when we trim these feet, how the heels can be trimmed out and it can pull all that under. But on a young horse, okay, if it's just never wearing so that it's expanding, it's like the same thing kind of, but in reverse. Okay, so I'm gonna, just a minute. I'm lost.
Linda, I did send you a more recent picture. I don't remember if I told
Okay,
you.
right here.
Yeah, that was this year, February.
Okay. See, but like even 2 years ago, I was not on this frog thing like I am now. This frog and periople thing. Do you have a picture looking down at the heels?
I do. Hold on. It's sent.
Okay. Oh, I'm lost. Hold on. Gotta. Okay, and okay, yeah, I guess this is changing. Hold on. Oh, nope, wait, new share. Hold on. Okay. Let me share. Okay. Okay, so is one thing I see is that his do you feel like his heels are what size horse is this?
He's
Is this
a
a
mini
pony?
Shetland. Yeah, he's a mini Shetland.
Okay.
And yes, his heels were uneven when he first came, and I think he had done something weird to the medial heel at that
Okay.
point.
Well, when you get a chance, do you have clippers?
Yes.
When you get a chance, do you think you could shave this?
This was in February. He doesn't have that
Oh,
anymore.
okay. He doesn't have that now?
Correct. I had my baby in March, so I haven't taken pictures since then of him.
Okay.
He's too little. He was too little for me to get down with my baby.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, I do feel that his heels are contracted, and I think that like see how that's white right there?
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel that his bulbs could be spun into his foot right here, and that this is periople.
Mm-hmm.
That could be. So when you get a chance, let's really take a good look at his foot, but this hair has to be removed. Like,
yeah, he doesn't have that anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
All gone.
Okay. Yeah, I just feel his little feet got bound because they can't, and they can't wear that off like a horse should. So that the foot can spread out and all that. And that periople really binds these feet. And it's meant to save the horse, but it can become a problem. So
yeah.
Alrighty then. Well,
thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for sharing the little guy with us.
Yeah, I'll try to get better pictures of him. I'm able to more now than I was. So
okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. So that's all we're gonna do for today, and Probably won't do another one of these till, yeah, I might do a surprise one or something. Live Facebook one, or just I'll let you know. Okay, well, hey, everybody have a great week.
Thank you. You
And,
too.
You too. Thank you.
I'll get this posted here in the next day or two.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, everybody, take care. Bye.
Thank
You too. Bye.